going to be on. And you're on the right side of history. We're not walking by, we're not ignoring the suffering of others. We're taking action against the fur trade. And whether that's you're just putting a sticker on somebody's coat, giving someone a leaflet, or screaming your arse off at Prada or Canada Goose, then just do something. But don't stay silent. Never stay silent in the face of injustice. So once again, thank you everybody for being here.
That even though we've got the legislation, the fur is still being imported. It's not illegal to import the fur. That's a big problem. If we manage to stop the importation of fur, that would be a huge victory for the animals. Obviously, no animal has ever chosen to be a fur trim or a fur coat. And I thought I'd try and find an interesting subtopic for us to, for me to talk to you about. I just did a tiny little bit of research because I want to share some information with you to enable you to be more informed activists. And what I thought about was just a quick talk about the chemicals used when treating processed fur and processing fur. And I took some notes here, so I'll quickly go through them and hopefully it's informative for you. Fur garments are processed with caustic and often toxic chemicals hazardous to human health. After animals have been killed by gassing, neck breaking, or anal or genital electrocution on fur confinement operations, or after crushing, drowning, shooting or strangulation on trap lines, their skin is removed, pulled off from the animal's body, sometimes while the animal is still conscious, now referred to as a pelt. The animal's skin, with the hair still attached, is sent to be tanned, dressed in industry language, and perhaps dyed, bleached and otherwise treated. Common methods for dressing fur skins involve formaldehyde and chromium, chemicals that are listed as carcinogens and are otherwise toxic to humans. Other chemicals that may be used or emitted in the dressing and dyeing processes and that appear on one or more US government lists of toxic chemicals include aluminium, ammonia, chlorine, chlorobenzene, copper, ethylene glycol, lead, methanol, nepheline, sulfuric acid, toluene and zinc. I don't want to go into too many details about these chemicals, but formaldehyde is it's classified as a carcinogen. Nepheline is made from crude oil. It's another hazardous one. And the last point is, furthermore, the Encyclopedia of Occupational Health and Safety states that various chemicals used in the fur industry are potential skin irritants. A 1998 study of workers in the American Journal of Industrial Medicine found that employment as leather and fur processors may be associated with women's increased risk of breast cancer. So yeah, nepheline, chromium, formaldehyde, lead, lots of nasty chemicals used to treat fur.
And he's always supported me with my campaigns against fur, going back to my first fan campaigns at Portobello Road Market, which has hideous amounts of fur. So I just wanted to get an activist perspective with one of these speeches, and I can't think of anyone better and more dedicated to the cause than Carl. So could you please give it up for Carl? Make some noise. He's here. Do everyone gather so you can kind of hear what he's saying and has to say, take your stand.
Thank you for your kind words, Emma. Yeah, it really is a privilege and an honour to be asked to speak today, and I'm so encouraged to see so many of you out here, many familiar faces. Yeah, as Emma mentioned, I've done a lot outside that place up the road, Canada Douchebag Towers, and I'll speak largely about that because that's been, for the most part, my experience. I became an activist partly thanks to Emma. I saw the Portobello Road protest. I saw the great chalk work that Joe Gaffney had done, I think, February 2017, and thought, there's no excuse I have not to get involved. I would hate myself for not participating in representing what we all know deep down is such a ridiculously obvious point that in 2018 there's no need for what's going on in these far farms, these places tucked away out of sight. It's completely insanely cruel. You have people over there in countries as cold as Canada and those comprising Scandinavia who stay perfectly warm and dry now without animal fur, animal products on their back. So yeah, anyone speaking to justify this trade is purely perhaps talking out of one side of their mouth and stroking their chihuahua out of the other, because they have no grounds on which to support this. So yeah, going back to the Canada Goose protest, we're out there at least 3 times a week, and it's one of London's busiest streets, Regent Street, and as you would imagine, we encounter people from all walks of life, all nationalities, ages, political persuasions. So it's a great litmus test, if you like, for people's global reaction to what is a slave trade, but a much bloodier one. And yeah, we have people who will support us, people, same faces sometimes, will come. Some people have joined us. I can think of a dozen or so people, just off the top of my head, who have walked past one day and taken a leaflet, stopped to chat, watched the footage, and then lo and behold, a week later or so, they're here alongside us, chanting, giving out leaflets, and really pouring themselves into it. And I know there's probably some of you guys who I've just described here today. On the other end of the spectrum, you do get those antagonists, those who seem to make it their life work to get under our skin, to rub our faces in what we know is something that to some extent is out of our hands, because yes, we cannot force people to stop buying into this trade, but on the other side of things, they're kind of helping us in a way, because they're putting themselves up on a platform as to just how vile and selfish and cruel people can be, whether it's the person working the fur farm themselves, some grubby man or woman, or these people in the street trying to detract from us, trying to undermine our sanity and our work ethic and our choice of clothes in our wardrobe. And we're not wearing leather. We've responded to all these jibes that they've aimed at us. So yeah, you see that end of the spectrum, and there are times when it wears you down and you're travelling on the train home after an event and you feel more vulnerable than we are already today. When you see people just stuffing animal flesh in their cake holes and wearing the fur, and yeah, you may get through to some of them, you may stop them, speak to them, stick with them, leaflet them, whatever is your weapon of choice. But yeah, when you're faced with a barrage of people just turning a blind eye, looking the other way, mocking you, then for me, that is just fuel in the fire more than ever. I see that, and I think so many people seem to think that it's a fashion statement in itself, being cruel, being callous, whether it's toward other human beings, laughing at their misfortunes, or belittling a screaming raccoon dog, hurling him or herself against a cage, since birth, consigned to this misery. They can look down on that and scoff, but yeah, that is a trend, but that's not attractive. And when these people look back in their 80 years of age, 90 years of age, and they look back, and are they going to say to themselves, well, is that what I did? I tried to bring people down who believed in something full-heartedly and who are willing to die to save lives, to lose whatever reputation they may have forged amongst a society of indifferent, apathetic individuals, people who are willing to put themselves in the line of fire, and I strove to bring them down to base emotion, to anger and frustration. Yeah, we feel it immensely, but if that is your sole aim in life, to attack those who are just trying to represent millions of animals in fur farms, caught in traps. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much detail because I understand that some of my comrades are going to cover the fur industry's grisly details, but if that's all you've got to offer, then maybe you should look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I stand for anything? Do I have any backbone? Why am I so driven to slight what is a miraculous, wonderful movement, animal rights movement as a whole, those protesting weekly, daily against the fur industry? I can think of many people who make themselves a one-man, one-woman army who are taking on fur wearers, animal abusers in every aspect of their life, in the supermarket, on the train, at work. And yeah, I hats off to them. I sometimes cower away from that responsibility, and I punish myself for it afterwards in my head, but you can't live in the past. You just have to realise that is just a symptom of being in a part of society where it is embarrassing, or it is taboo to be passionate, as they say, extremists as they would ironically like to label us. But yeah, those people who are doing that, those activists who I see out here today, I mean, I admire you totally, and I wish I could do what you do every time I'm confronted with this violence and injustice. We try and make up for what we're not doing together in solidarity, as I know we're going to do today, and London, I hope, is going to know it's been in for a fight, in for a protest, in for an educational, informative experience, but more importantly, we're here because we're lovers of life. We respect human life and non-human life, and there's no argument to say that the two need to be mutually exclusive. It's ironic that people would try and use that, but surely they just undermine it. They're just highlighting rather their own callousness, or trying to appease their own sense of guilt for not doing what they should be doing, which is daily purchases. You're voting for violence when you pay for these products, and we are here to try and spread the word that we have so much power that we're not realising. I'm not just talking about the activists, I'm talking about those strolling through Leicester Square, taking in a film maybe, enjoying their family, their loved ones, as is their God-given right, and I would not strive to take that from anyone, but all I would ask is your ear for just a few seconds as you pass by to appreciate that the fur industry is grinding on day in, day out. There are animals screaming in agony for mercy that is not coming. And they need you to be their voice. They need you to find the confidence to approach the fur wearers in whatever capacity it is, and educate them. It doesn't need to be a full-on conflict by any stretch of the imagination. You can just calmly, politely approach them. Sure, people can get defensive and try and maybe gang up together and try and shun you for doing what's right, but we know deep down that is what our duty is, and if these people have the audacity to paint themselves as the victim, then so be it. But we know they'll look back and they'll be quaking from that experience. Whether you pull them out in a more boisterous, aggressive fashion or not, nothing compares to, as I've said, the screaming animals. So yeah, please step up, every one of you. I know you do already, in any shape or form, do so, and I will try and emulate that also. And yeah, thank you for all being here again today. I have very poor sense of timing, so I don't want to keep you here any longer, because I could. I've done it for hours over there down the road, just not because I like the sound of my own voice, but yeah, because I want to be their voice, and thank you for hearing me out today.
The last of our guest speakers for this part of the march is one of my absolute heroes of animal rights. The foundation of animal rights for me is the ALF. These people are my gods, and without them and the actions that they were doing in the 80s and the early 90s, it's paved the way for all of us to be here today. And they've done some absolutely incredible, groundbreaking, brave, courageous things, faced imprisonment for animals. And I just give my entire, I don't know what, but thanks for everything that you have done and your comrades that make me be able to be here today, being a voice for animals and encouraging other people to do the same. So please, everybody, give it everything for John Curtin.
The obnoxious, the horrendous, hideous fur trade. And I know nearly all of you passers-by are with us. I read some of the other day on the internet. It said they talk about the universe. It's made of protons and electrons and neutrons. But what about the morons? And as we know, when we face people who wear fur is worn by beautiful animals and morons and ugly people. Now, anyone that's heard me do a talk before knows I ramble, and I do ramble, and I go off on tangents, but I've actually made some notes. One day I want to make a speech with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But making a speech about fur, come on, this is the entry level of compassion. This is the end, this is the ABC. This is the Janet John version of compassion and animal rights. We cannot kill animals just so someone can put a fur trim on them. All these passers-by, meat eaters, people who believe in vivisection, nearly everybody can agree on that, apart from the absolute worst morons. I've got written at the top of it, the greatest danger to our future is apathy. And I think one of the things we did in the animal liberation movement, we did develop some apathy towards the fur trade, because we thought we'd won. Let me tell you, like, you might be I don't know if you live in London, there's a bit of a London bubble. And because you get people from all over the world and lots of tourists, you've always had quite a lot of fur in London. But in the rest of the UK, in Britain, every event you'd go to, say if you went to a party or a wedding, there'd be someone with a fur coat. You go to a funeral, there'd be lots of people with a fur coat. Every town in Britain used to have a fur shop where they used to sell fur. Every department store used to have a department where they sell fur. But we got rid of all of that, apart from the bubble in London, apart from a few tiny outlets in London where there's fur shops and Harrods. Every single fur campaign we ever undertook, and we undertook the whole lot, we won every one. And we've got to carry on this time until we get rid of all fur, abolish fur, and that's what we've got to do. And this time we're not going to take our foot off the accelerator, we've got to do it until we get rid of it all. I was sitting there yesterday and I've been doing some research because I never know what the hell's going to come out of my mouth, but I try and do a bit of research. And I read the Canada Goose website. Now let me tell you this, I've been doing this and I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe the rise in veganism. I can't believe that we're waking up to animal suffering. But I can't believe I'm still here after 35 fucking years and still talking about getting rid of the fur trade. I was sitting there yesterday thinking that I read the Canada Goose website where they said, yeah, our fur comes from animals that are trapped. Now in 35 years of campaigning against the fur trade, I've never ever heard a fur trader be honest and say that. They'd say things like, we get our fur from sustainable sources. We get our fur from traditional messages. I used to go on television and debate against fur traders. I actually got attacked on television once by a fur trader. I was shown on ITN the next night, but that's another story. But they would never say, yeah, our fur comes from animals that were caught in leg hold traps. So what? But here you've got Canada Goose putting on their website that their fur exclusively comes from animals that have been trapped. Bloody hell, man, you millennials, you people, you normally look to the youth. When I look to these millennials, what the hell are you doing about fur? You know? Anyway. But I'm sitting there thinking, hang on, we got rid of the leg leg-hold trap. We got rid in this country because of campaigning. I'm not just campaigning, just because of hardcore direct action. Because let's cut this shit. That's how we mainly tackled the fire industry in this country. We went straight for it. We smashed the windows, we blew the locks, and I have to say it, we even burned the stores down. That's how it was done. Let's cut this shit. Also lots of campaigning, lots of people, lots of celebrities, lots of MPs, but that's how it was done. I'm sitting there thinking, hang on, we got rid of that. And I remember being in prison in 1991, and I got some newsletter, and their front page was about how the importation of fur in this country from animals that have been caught in leg-hold traps. Obviously, you all people here, hopefully there's some passers-by listening. The leg-hold trap is one of the most obscene things ever invented. Basically, a coyote, in this case, walking along a trap, the fur trader is hidden it underneath the path, the animal steps down, crunch on the leg, and it will hold it there until the fur trader maybe comes along a day, 2 days, a week later, if it's still alive, hits it on the head with a piece of wood or shoot it. Hideously cruel. And I'm thinking, hang on, we've already had Groundhog Day. We've got rid of importation in this country from the leg-hold trap. And I started going on the internet and looking through. About 8 hours later, and I'm still angry from doing it now. If you put in a Google search, importation of fur, put in leg-hold trap, straight away the regulation comes up, and I'll read it to you. Plain language, importation of fur regulations, Council Regulation EEC number 325/91 prohibits the importation of furs and fur products from some wild animal species, and those species are listed here. Coyote is one of them. Where they are caught by leg-hold traps. It specifically mentions leg-hold traps because a lot of our campaigns are about leg-hold traps. There's 2 other types of trap. There's a killing trap and there's a drowning trap. But the legislation specifically mentions leg-hold trap. All trapping methods, so includes others, that do not meet international standards of humane trapping. Plain English, thought we'd done it. Round the back door, I discovered only yesterday, in 1997, Russia and Canada managed to meet EU bureaucrats, and let's not mention that B word with an X in it, this is not about that, and they managed to get some exemptions from the ban if they could introduce humane traps. I'll now show you a picture. This is an agreement on international humane trapping standards. It's called the Bridge of Coils Offset and Laminated Jaws. You won't be able to see that, but look for it, have a chat to me later. It's called the Bridge of Coils Brings Offset and Laminated Jaws. Forgive my fucking French, it's a fucking leg-hold trap. These are meant to be banned. What the hell are we doing? The animal rights movement, we took our foot off the accelerator because we thought it's gone, it's not gone, it's back and it's a monster and we've got to get rid of it. Because the fur issue is an animal rights issue. We've got to get rid of the fur trade. We've got to get rid of killing for pleasure. We still haven't got rid of the bloody fox hunters, even over there meant to get for illegal. So even for all the hundreds of millions of chickens and pigs, we've got to get rid of the fur trade, and we're going to do it. When we meet this time next year, we'll have done it, I hope. Can I go on for a few more minutes? I was going to say, forgive me if I get emotional, but no. You'll understand in a minute. This is my friend Jill Phipps. Put your hand up if you don't know that name amongst the demonstrators. Jill Phipps. Ah, look, you know, put the hand up. She's a beautiful friend of mine, one of my best friends. She was killed while protesting against live exports. It's another thing we took our foot off the gas about live exports. Fur, fox hunting. and live exports. They're the entry level. They're the ABC of animal rights. They're the Janet and John version. Do you understand sort of version? And we've got to get rid of them. Jill was killed, run over by a lorry. A man called Stephen Yates, who sped up. Mike Mansfield, very famous barrister, did the inquest for us. He sped up as he went towards Jill. There she is with me, standing with me outside Hudson Bay. Because I want to try and explain to you, Britain used to be the centre of the fur trade. When a piece of fur was sold from Norway and they sold it to Russia, it came through the city of London, but by beautiful people, and you're all beautiful people. And for once in my life, I'll say, yeah, when we say fur coats are worn by beautiful animals and ugly people, I don't mean ugly in the terms of the Photoshop stupid sense. I'm a beautiful person, I can say that. And you're beautiful people. Jill, my God, she was a beautiful person. We used to come down to London when we found out about Hudson Bay. So if a piece of fur was sold in Russia, it was sold to Norway, the money, it would come through London. But we got rid of the Hudson Bay Company. Basically, we got rid of the fur trade, we thought, but it's making this horrendous sneaky comeback. Please, we've got to take every bit of effort we can. This morning on the train on the way here, I saw two Southeast Asian, I don't know whether from China or Taiwan, two women speaking. They had definitely what was fur, because it's sometimes hard to tell, isn't it, these days? That's another thing. But there is little guides you can get. And I didn't tackle them. And I want to make a deal with you here in the space of the next year. Let's start going back on the street again. But your people who are on the street, but tell your mates, get back on the fucking street, get back to tackling, and do it in however you want. I like to do it in a polite way. Excuse me, is that real fur and blah blah blah. I start talking. But I didn't do it on the train today because I'm a nice person. You know, I don't want to start shouting, and I like my yoga and Buddha and compassion. And I realised I was a coward, you know, like, but they maybe didn't speak English, I didn't know. I did hear them talking in another language, and I thought, and I didn't do it. But if I make a deal with you today that I'm going to start doing it, like you said, where's Carl? He said, you don't tend to, you maybe don't do it. Let's start doing it again, because that's another way we got rid of fur, was by tackling people on the street. Ew, that's disgusting. Do it however you want, but let's start doing it again. We've got to get rid of fur. Well, I'll take one more minute, but I could go on forever. But if you ever want me to do a talk, please ask me to do a talk. I'd love to do it. One of the first actions I ever did was with Jill. We went to, and I can grass her up now. We went to Further Canada, the fur shop. The first time I ever get arrested was at Further Canada. Every time I used to go past it, I used to super glue the locks at night time. But I've done it so often, but now there's a catch in it. I missed my train. I was in London, I come back, I missed my last bus home. I ended up walking past it around midnight, and I had some super glue with me, like you do. And I'm passing out, I did it. I don't know how long ago I did it, 2 days or 3 nights ago. And I went up to the door, went boop, boop, and the police were inside the shop and outside the shop. They'd done a little stakeout. But the best thing was, when I got down to the police station, they had this massive roll of paper. There was a little, I don't think they had computers then, but it was like a huge big roll of paper, and it had hundreds and hundreds of offences of all the people that have been damaging Further Canada. Like broken windows, smashed, painted. And I was smiling, and the police said, because I wasn't answering the questions, no comment. And the police said, just for the sake of the tape, Mr. Curtin is smiling. And I didn't say to him, no, I didn't do that one, but I did do that one. But I was just really happy. And after that, I got to meet Jill. And I remember we went up to a fur shop, I won't mention which one. And we threw a big, massive can of red paint over it. But unfortunately, we just went like this, big can of red paint, and it splattered all over us. And we ran through town covered in red paint, and we locked ourselves in our room. And we thought, for some reason, that the police were going to turn up, but they never did. But Jill, lovely Jill, right, I said I'm going to talk for a minute. But I'm going to wrap up now. On that subject, because you mentioned about the ALF, But I'm terrified of this country. One of the things I'm terrified of, the thing I started with, what did I say? The greatest danger to our future is apathy. And this country is properly becoming a zombie state. Yes, we've got all this awareness about veganism, but it's like we've become shopping zombies. And one of the things that's happened, there is a dramatic decrease in ALF activity. And one of the reasons is because we live in a surveillance state. There's cameras everywhere. God knows how many cameras there are. And people have asked you today, the organisers have asked you to basically behave yourself. And I ask you to respect that. One of the speakers even said, respect the injunction. That wouldn't be my language. I'd say, fuck the injunction, fuck Canada Goose. Anyway, but today, like the coyote, I'll try and finish with this, I'll keep telling for this, because we've got a march to do. The coyote worshipped amongst the American people. When I say the American people, I mean the First Nation people. Worshipped coyote, known as the trickster. So today, the police will be, the police, my God, look, once upon a time, back in the day, they would be surrounded by riot police, you know, and they'd be all over us, they'd be searching us. They're not even here. The police have taken the foot off when it comes to us. But don't worry, they'll be back. Not today, but they'll be back, I can tell you. Not because of things we do, because they'll get their strings pulled again. But you've been asked today to basically behave yourself, and I back that up. Because today we're going to have a march and we're going to make lots of noise. And because this is such, we've got the public on our side, we're getting the public on our side, and I can't believe I'm saying this now about veganism. We've got the public on our side about that now. That didn't used to be the case. But the fur is a no-brainer. So when we make noise today, let the people, we're angry and I'm angry, but when we shout, let them feel the love, you know? And you can do that, like when you shout at a child if it went near a fire or something, no, stop! You've still got loads of love in you, so make sure you've got that love in your heart. But you've been asked today to behave yourself, and I'd back that up. But like the coyote, the trickster, you know? If you were gonna ever, you've got to be careful what you say. But I'm sure you can imagine what I'm going to say. Be like the coyote, be the trickster, you know. Today they're expecting us. So go when they're not expecting you. But I've got to be very careful about what you say. But this is poetry, I'm using my poetic license here. But be like the coyote, worship the coyote. And I just, you know, I can't believe that we're here. Canada Goose and Max Mara, they sold coyote. And we thought we'd ban the Lego trap. And these companies are now proudly saying, yeah, we get our animals from the Lego trap. No, we're not going to tolerate that. Absolutely no means no. Hello, we're not having it, you know. And we'll use, by all means necessary, maybe celebrities, maybe MPs, maybe the blah, 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 or good old-fashioned direct action. One way we'll fucking get rid of it. Fuck Canada Goose, fuck the fur industry, and thank you for being beautiful. Let's go and make some noise.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everybody. And I'd just like to say that all of you are important. Every single one of you are all as important as each other, and all of your voices are important. And if we had the time, I'd hear what all of you have to say, because your voice is as important as everybody else's. So don't ever think that it's not. Everybody together, we need to unite. I think with the fur industry, we don't want to have any divisions. We want to unite to abolish the fur trade. Just forget any personal differences and just unite to fight against the fur trade. Let's go!
It's a testament to how, you know, passionate everybody is here, and thank you so much for inviting us. It's an honour. I have 100% belief that we will end fur in our lifetime, and I want to tell you why. So, it's around 2 years ago, almost exactly to the day, was my first time visiting a fur farm in Poland. I found myself, you know, creeping through this foggy forest in western Poland. I could hear these fox cries coming from miles away, this putrid stench coming from over the fence. Eventually got in there, and the first thing I saw was rows and rows of cages, hundreds and hundreds of foxes, and I saw one fox who who was running around and around and around for the whole time I was there. He had his eyes wide and his tongue sticking out of his mouth. He had completely lost his mind. And for me, this just really set it home that this farm was like an infection in this beautiful forest. And I think that's because the fur industry is like a cancer. So obviously we banned fur farming around 2 decades ago, and this was a huge achievement. This was amazing. Even Elliot Morley, who was the minister at the time, said that fur farming is inconsistent with value and respect for animal life, and that's, that is the perfect way to put it. We did an amazing job. We banned fur farming, but unfortunately, like a cancer, it spread throughout Europe. Poland became a huge fur farmer. And we thought we squashed it, and it came back insidiously back onto our shores. But the fight is not over. We're importing huge amounts of fur every year, as you all know, and that's why we're here today. And I have a lot of hope that we will change things. So, this is why we're winning. Just in the last couple of years, Norway, fur ban. Czech Republic, fur ban. Luxembourg, fur ban. Belgium, fur ban. Just in the last couple of years. Gucci, fur-free. Versace, fur-free. Michael Kors, fur-free. Burberry, fur-free. This is incredible progress. So, thank yourselves for that. Round of applause for everyone here. Some people like the fur industry, they want to argue that we shouldn't be getting rid of fur completely. We should be raising the standards internationally. I think that what that sounds like is we have foxes and farmers hand in harmony, and then they get cuddled to death in this lovely place apparently. This is what they said to me. They said we're going to raise standards internationally because we can have humane fur farms. And they tell us this propaganda about fur being environmentally friendly. Why do you think they make these lies up? Because they're scared shitless. If I was a fur farmer, I would be looking for a new profession. Countries all over the world are banning fur farming. The biggest fashion giants are going fur-free. It's incredible. So, my organisation, Open Cages, has been working on the Fur-Free Britain campaign. So, we've been doing public outreach like this, demonstrations, protests, but mostly, behind the scenes, we've been lobbying with politicians to get an actual ban. We've been talking with Humane Society, we've been talking with politicians, all corners of Westminster. Despite what you may think about politicians, they really are listening. We have Conservatives, Liberal Democrats, Labour, Scottish Conservatives. We know that Labour have committed to banning fur if they come into power. So they really are listening, and I have absolute no doubt that we will get a fur-free Britain and get a fur-free world. And because we are beating this cancer, because we have a cure like you people here. So, thank you.
I bought fur footage, and that's why I stopped wearing fur, and then eventually I went vegan. But this is the best way to help people to make the connection, is to just show people what's happening, because so many people don't know. So we really do just need to show it to them, because how can you ignore that? When you see that, that stays in your head, that stays with you. When you see that suffering, I also just wanted to say a poem that I wrote today. I haven't done that before, so I'm a little bit nervous for that. Like, I tried to memorize it, but yeah, let's see how it goes. Okay. Whose skin are you in, and where are they now? Was it taken from a fox, or taken from a cow? Whose skin are you in? Why not wear something kind, where no one was harmed? An ethical find. Whose skin are you in? Was it from a handbag or coat? Was it worth all the suffering? Did they deserve a split throat? Whose skin are you in? Have you even met them? Or you refuse to watch the videos because it's easier to forget them? Well, I won't forget the cruelty, and I won't ignore their pain. I will not stay silent and leave those mink to go insane. From cannibalism to isolation, they're tortured by every sensation, and it's the ultimate humiliation. The animals are murdered by every nation, while we continue to turn a blind eye, and we continue to make them die. For fashion and vanity, what has happened to humanity? Whose skin are you in? And what if it were you that were tortured for fur trim or killed for a shoe? Whose skin are you in? What if it were your mother, caged and tortured, or your sister or your brother? Would it then make a difference? Tell me, would you then stop buying? If instead of a rabbit's eye it was a human one crying? Whose skin are you in? Did you forget they had a life? It wasn't even necessary. It wasn't a sacrifice. Whose skin are you in? Don't tell me it's your choice. While they scream for their lives, don't they too have a voice? Do they not deserve love? Do their lives have no worth? I think you are forgetting that we all share this earth. Whose skin are you in? Why not wear something kind? Where no one was harmed. An ethical fine. Forget the wall, the leather,